Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. Today, I will be reading from the r/EntitledPeople subreddit, so let's jump into it. Entitled Father asks me to move back, shows no respect for my boundaries, and clear favoritism over my sister. A few years ago, pre-pandemic, I, 34-year-old female, moved back home to help my father, 61-year-old male. A bit later on, my stepmother had been diagnosed with cancer. The original arrangement was that I would share a room with my sister, 30-year-old female. Upon moving back, I informed my father that I go to work anywhere from 3 to 5 a.m. My sister is loud and stays up at night. All night, with the lights on, the television blaring in the background, while talking/laughing loudly on a headset. She would get upset when I had to take phone calls, do voice calls, conferences, or video chats because it was too loud. During allergy seasons, I snore a little. If I were asleep and made a single sound, she would throw things at me, even though she also snores loud. I endured this for a few years until about 2019, when I had more or less found my sister had barricaded me from the room. I began sleeping in the living room in an arrangement I believed to be temporary. About a month later, I was gone for 1 week. I returned to most of my belongings have been removed from the room. Everything was rearranged. And my father had literally gone through all of my stuff because he was bored. This was the actual reason he gave. He has no friends and no job, so lots of free time. I had specifically asked him not to go through my shit ever. I expected him to respect that, as I pay rent and was also watching my nephew regularly, despite there at the time being not 1, not 2, but 3 adults in the house who were not working, or in my sister's case, working part-time. This was usually in the evenings, and they wouldn't come back until 10 p.m. My father and stepmom would also go to bed around 2 a.m. So, yeah, as someone who goes to work between 3 and 5 a.m. on average, this sucked. The real kicker, however, was that he gave my bed to my sister and threw hers away because she had broken hers. But this shouldn't have been leeway for him to touch my things without even telling me. This was all blown off, of course, and this was around the time he began playing the "but you'll put us on the street" card when I proposed moving out. After that threat, most of my belongings had been put back in the room, in a corner, and I was promised he would help me pay for a new bed. He never did, of course, and instead bought my sister a brand new bed. I was also unable to access any of my items in that room because if it wasn't because the door was locked, it was because my sister had both obstructed my access or had made that room such a mess that you couldn't even walk through it. Early 2020 was when my stepmom was diagnosed with cancer. It was a steady downhill for her, and my father and I were the only ones taking care of her. I would go in late to work or come in with no sleep. My sister only helped once, and it was when my stepmother was capable of walking and just needed help pulling herself up from the toilet. To which my sister was then hailed as a hero for doing so. Meanwhile, I was feeding her, helping her take medication, waiting on her hand and foot, helping her use the toilet, a bedpan, and changing her diaper as her condition worsened. I did not mind helping her, but I was very, very frustrated that not only my sister, but her biological children never, ever came to help take care of her. It put a lot of stress on me, and I was never relieved. Also at that time, I was still, after several months, couch surfing. They then decided to move a hospital bed into the living room. Then we very briefly had 24-hour nurse care. I spent a week pretty much napping at work before she passed. I was, quote-unquote, sleeping at that point on the dining room floor. At the time, I asked if I could get my TV back from my room to install it there, and I was told no. I was subscribed to all the major streaming services, and everyone in the house was able to enjoy them but me. My dad would even brag about it and offered it to the rotation of nurses. But for me, nah. Part of my rent/agreement for staying there was also paying for premium cable, which I again couldn't watch. I did not sleep because the said room is connected to the kitchen, and in order to get to the said kitchen, you would need to go through there. I had no privacy. I also had a steady rotation of strangers coming in and out, on top of the stress of watching a loved one pass away right in front of me. After her passing, and with one less adult in the house, finances had to be rearranged. I was told I had to pay $300 more a month. It was no big deal. I was helping my grieving, widowed father out, and it was the least I could do. My sister was going to pay $100. Not 100 more, just 100. That was her rent. I was also still paying her phone because every time I tried to take her off, my dad would complain / try to guilt me for it. To this day, my sister has had issues with paying her rent on time, if at all. This is not because she can't afford it, she just doesn't want to pay it. And yet, she goes out regularly and orders Grubhub / DoorDash at least once a day. Furthermore, she pays my dad through PayPal, and it's never the full amount. And she charges said transactions as goods and services, so PayPal always takes fees from it. My dad bitches about this constantly, yet refuses to do anything about it. She has also destroyed the room to the point that you can't even walk through it. I have repeatedly told him that he is being taken advantage of by her, and that she should be the one sleeping on the floor of the living room, which I'm still at, by the way. I even offered to add that $100 on top of mine. He refused and went into theatrics about living on the streets by kicking her out of the house, or at least out of the room. Despite me offering to comp the meager pay, she barely pays anyway. I think the straw that is breaking my back right now is him getting into my stuff again. I recently had a very expensive item that I needed to return. It was in a box, it was still bubble wrapped, it had its original papers. I was just waiting for free time to go ship it out / go to the post office. So while I was at work, he decided he needed to clean up my small area, losing the item for weeks until I finally found it. Loose. The paperwork was gone, the protective wrap and outer packaging was gone, the bow was damaged, and it looked like he had opened it. I had not even opened the seal, as I already knew the company had given me the wrong item. I confronted him about it, and he said he needed the box to ship something, and I had so many boxes, apparently. I'm at my wit's end, and I think I might have to just make myself the family pariah by looking to move out. The sad thing is that I know that in doing so, my dad would not be able to make his rent, but I feel like I am being treated with little to no respect for my privacy, items, or possessions. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. This story made me so mad. This OP is so obviously a victim of emotional gaslighting from her narcissistic family, and it breaks my heart when people like OP feel they owe their family. The part that made me especially mad was when she said, I had to pay $300 more a month. It was no big deal. I was helping my grieving widowed father out, and it was the least I could do. Like, no, OP. The least you could do, the least he could do, is treat you like a human being instead of like an animal that's being forced to sleep on the living room floor. You don't owe anyone shit, especially not a father that continues to disrespect you over and over again and idolizes a 30-year-old freeloading sister. And if he idolizes the sister so much, then she can pick up the rent. And if she can't, that's not anyone's problem but their own. As far as I'm concerned, there are two choices here for OP. Leave now, be a family traitor, and your family has to get off their asses while you have money to find a new place to stay where you can be happy. Or option 2, continue until you're burnt out, lose your job, and get kicked out because you can't pay rent, still become a family traitor for not paying rent, and your family is forced to get off their asses. The options are almost the same and end almost the same way, but in one, you enable them, and in the other, you move out with happiness and dignity. So please, OP, choose the option that gives you a better life. You already know that he couldn't care less about you, so return the favor and go enjoy your life. You have zero obligation to appease these asshats. Great googly moogly. Good thing it's Friday because I need a frickin' drink after that one. But anyways, just so you guys know, I did make a second channel. I'm sorry I keep promoting it, but different people watch these videos every time. So if you like Ask Reddit stuff, I'll link it now as well as below so you can check it out if you want. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit stories. Bye!